Thank you. I'm delighted to be here along with Jyoti and Vipul. Pedan, thank you for inviting me. Uh, Listen, it's been now 20 months since we've been talking about recovery. There was a level of excitement. We all thought, okay, by the end of 2020, we would probably start seeing some sort of recovery in the foreign market. Then we had the situation in April, which actually just destroyed the inbound business because we had a serious issue with the image of the destination. And that doesn't images like that and that kind of an impression that is created doesn't go away that easily. So that you had to give it, as I call it, some cooling time, which we did. And then we started seeing some real positive signs. Like Vipul said, people in India got restless and wanted to travel. So they said, all right, we'll travel, we'll have to wear a mask, but how many people are vaccinated? And when we told them, we had, in all of this, we did have some good news. We had 1 billion people getting vaccinated. The largest vaccination facility was in India. And one of the good things that happened on a positive note for tourism is, and just to take from where what Vipul just said, the entire tourism infrastructure was in very good shape. I Airlines flew, seats were full, capacity came back to 100%. Hotels did very well. Although I'll qualify that by saying hotels in certain cities and certain kinds of hotels and certain destinations did well. However, a large part of the smaller hotels that dependent on foreign guests are suffering and will continue to suffer. And the other part is restaurants opened up, so there was movement of people. Life is back to normal if you go out now. This was a great message for us to send overseas, which we were working on. And then came the opening of the borders. And then we did some very silly things in between. We decided not to give e-visas to the largest market, that's the UK. I mean, we are masters of creating our own problems within problems. So we did some silly things, but overall, I think we opened the market. Yes, then there was flights were announced. Fair enough. Now they've had to shut everything down, though nobody understands why do you need to shut certain flights and only have bubble flights, because the virus really doesn't get a boarding card while coming here. So there is all sorts of the sense of confusion, obviously, in the minds of the customer. But to answer your question, we had a phenomenal uptake in 15 days. We had people going to Nepal to do an inspection trip for an incentive. We had people traveling ready to travel to India in early December. We had planned a bunch of overseas agents of ours, 50 of them, to come down early next year. So there was optimism. And the good part is everybody in the world suffered the same problem, right? The question was, who would be able to take advantage of this while coming out of it? And I think India could have been very well positioned and will be, as long as we don't have these silly restrictions. You can't have your largest source market not getting e-visas. So a UK charter gets cancelled. Next, you can't have flights the way they are operating. We need to open all of this up. So you need to make it smooth for people to travel in and out within the country. It is fantastic. I've done a few domestic trips, and I can tell you, Peter, hotels are delighted with the domestic market. They are earning much more than they ever did. Uh, it's good to see because staff is employed, their suppliers are employed. There is a general sense of well-being around a hospitality situation, and I think that is the good news out of all of this. So we have, as you know, Peyton, the business is September to April is when you do 90% of the revenue. That is totally washed out. Okay, yes, there will be a trickle, but when we look at numbers, a trickle is not going to help our balance sheets and P&Ls. That is one part of it. There is going to be business if things normalize and if the government goes along, does the right campaign, etc., etc. We'll see very good business from September next year. That's my hope. Till August end, I don't see the inbound business taking off at all right now. Yes, if tomorrow, March and April, 2 flights come in from Russia, 4 from UK, some stuff happening in the north, yeah, there'll be business, but you're talking of 20% or 15% of what you would normally do. So that's the reality. The second part is that, the inbound business is fragmented. There are 400, say, DMCs in the country. 395 are, family owned, family driven, small to medium sized organizations, and they will come back into the business next year without much of damage, because they have let off their staff, they have no expenses, they're not paying the people, they have no rental. So, institutions, there are few, 4 or 5 companies that are going to take the brunt and come back into the business in hopefully a stronger way. Now, yes, these businesses will come back, they will all be available, the DMCs will all come back and start doing business again. The demand is going to grow very slowly. We have to be clear about this. The demand is not going to be like the domestic market. See, the domestic market was you were in a bubble, you were vacuum packed, and you had to just move within that area because there was nowhere to go. I mean, how often will you go to Maldives and Dubai at that time? But the inbound business, it's going to be a little tough scene, because it's going to be the demand is going to be very slow. You'll see reduction in domestic demand, increase in international travel, and Vipul would agree with me that there is going to be a balancing out between these two segments, and the inbound business will come. But if you want to see $30 billion of revenue that the inbound business did in 2019, you're not going to see it before 2025. Now, you can stagger it into different ratios and all of that, but till 2025, you're not going to see 2019 levels. Now, how is everybody going to sustain the next 3 years is the question that they have to ask themselves. That's the big question right now. And let me add here, Peyton, just as you've asked me, what does the season look like? I'd also like to bring up a point out here, if you don't mind. We were given an incentive by the government for earning foreign exchange called SEIS, which was 5% of your net foreign exchange earning. The government put a cap on it for 5 crores, which means if your turnover is over 100 crores, you're not going to get, you will not get any benefit for the next 500 crores that you did. I mean, how can you do things like this? How are you going to incentivize the business? How you're giving? There is no grants from the government. It's not like Europe, etc. And I understand that, but don't take away what was meant for us, because that is the fuel we are going to need for the future. At the end of the day, you need you need organizations to, if I would not say run, but even limp towards the destination. But you can't do what the government did, and the Commerce Ministry, I cannot believe, did something like that. So, we have to, the government, the private sector, the hotels, the airlines, we all have to, it's one big symphony, we all have to play together. So I hope that sense prevails, and things get better. But to answer your question, 2025, 30 billion is when it's coming back, not before that. So I think the window was very small when they announced the flights to when they shut it down. But I think there were 2 or 3 factors that were important. I think the biggest killer for inbound was when they announced a 1-week quarantine for most of these countries coming into India, home quarantine. So nobody would leave. Vipul put it very well. Within the destination, you feel safe. People within the UK feel very safe traveling within the UK. Maximum, they'll go to Spain or France because they know they can come back. There are bilaterals, their insurance works. Most of them can speak the language. Similarly, for us in India, it's the same. The sentiment is about traveling within India. However, in that period, because there was these flights opening up, there was a lot of push. I mean, in 15 days, we saw, okay, maybe we were also not used to seeing bookings for 18 months. So when suddenly there was this surge of bookings coming in, there was a sense of positivity. There was an energy in the office. There's the things I had estimated by February, we'd be back into a very good position of servicing customers from different parts of the world. So yes, it picked up, and then of course it's gone. But there in the inbound in the inbound piece, there is a lot of things that matter. Do people feel safe coming to India? Most people, you'll never know because nobody will tell you, but most people would not have booked India in the last few months because the way it was positioned. We were waiting for a campaign to go through. You cannot start the destination without a campaign. And I'll tell you something, the government would have done a damn good job because they were very focused on it. On the campaign piece. So we would have started the campaign. It was all ready. We've been speaking to people in the ministry, and the Ministry of Tourism, whatever said, they are absolutely spot on the campaign, right? And they know what to do with the international market when it has to come. So they would have it was looking very good. But then, like I said, there are other factors. You can't have your largest market not on an e-visa. Give me one reason. What are you going to give as a reason? I can't think of any reason why the UK shouldn't be on an e-visa. So there are various reasons that kind of held everything back. But I think now we'll have to look at it in April. The same situations are going to come up. So we've done, the net practice in cricket. We've done the net practice for 15 days now. Hopefully, we play the test match in April.
Yes,
Right?
and
I would be
Deepak,
okay even with the 2020 right now, Deepak. I mean,
I've been Vipul, I've been padded up since last March. I don't know when the match is. So, listen, I think, like I said earlier, they are totally ready. They are totally focused. And I think, Rupinder Barar has got it spot on with whatever engagement we've had with the ministry through FICCI, or I'm sure the others who have engaged. They have got it absolutely spot on. They know exactly what they're going to do. And they've also understood that you cannot take your war chest, which is not very big, and go all over the world. You have to go to the 5 or 6 source markets that are going to deliver results for you. It's exactly like running a company. We are not going to start promoting destinations. There are no passengers there, right? So that part they've got. They've got the whole thing in place. Now, let me just tell you, and this is another thing which I think the ministry also sees. There is an opportunity and there is a threat from two countries. The opportunity is that China is weak. China had 30 million foreign tourists coming into the country. Rest of Macau and all the places around. But take 30 to 40 million foreign tourists, the ones that we get 5 million, though we claim we have 10 million tourists, but we have 5 million foreign tourists that come in. China is going to suffer with the inbound business over the next 3 years, 2 to 3 years. There's a huge negative sentiment about traveling to China. Fair or unfair, I'm not saying, but that is an opportunity for us. Those customers are quintessential customers that would come to India. We have to grab them. For that, you need to have a very strong campaign. You need to spend money as the government, and you need to catch the fancy of those people. Countries that are strong in this area, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, they've all messed up on their COVID vaccination. Vietnam is not opening for a long time. Sri Lanka is going to do a damn good job. So here is an opportunity. You have a bigger threat. There is money bag, Saudi Arabia, spending money like crazy to find every opportunity to get the foreign tourist into their country, whether they are from India or they are from Europe. And their whole mission in the next 5 years is to change their image and have foreign tourists come out there, and they are going to promote anything and everything. So you have an opportunity, but you also have a challenge in these two destinations. So to get that right, in order to get this right, you need a very strong campaign by the government, and you need to make sure you take this opportunity. One of the things that's come out of this whole 1.5, 2 years of lockdown / no travel / ups and downs is that every destination is on the same starting point. Now, are we going to actually take advantage of that and bring our numbers up real quick? I think we have a great chance. We have everything that a client needs. Everything in this destination. Okay, from culture to beach to monuments to food to this to that, everything. And if we don't use this opportunity now, and if the government does not grab this with both hands, I think we would have missed out on a generation's opportunity in tourism. And then we should stop talking about so much employment and so much GDP and this 8%, all these numbers which we have been throwing around. We should then keep quiet, and we should just tell the government, don't take anything away from us that you're supposed to give us like SEIS, and we don't want anything more for you. We'll go and manage our business. But if we don't take this opportunity and if we don't make changes, we will absolutely lose it. And I'll give you a last example before going. And I'm not, and Pidden, I'm not critical of, I don't want to be critical about things. I'm just being practical about certain things. You go and look at the Incredible India website. You'd never travel to India if you see that. These are things that need drastic changes. And we must use this time and opportunity to make these changes. And everybody has to participate. I'm not saying it's only the job of the government. The private sector has to stop cribbing and complaining. The private sector has to stop going to the government and saying reduce taxes. That is not going to help us. You think demand will increase if GST is brought down by 5%? I mean, who are we kidding? We need to really participate along with the government, learn from this opportunity, collaborate and move forward. That is the way to do it. Not sit around hoping, like the good old days, the client will come back. It's not going to happen that way. And if the government does not participate in this, and if the private sector doesn't shake themselves up in the coming 6 to 8 months, we've lost the chance. Yeah, so it's domestic is very different from inbound. Whatever Vipul says, you have to just inverse it, and that's my life. And the B2B business is again very different from B2C. So again, in the B2C space, the customer, end consumers at the center of attention. In our case, it's our overseas customer who then has the end customer in the B2B space. So from our point, Peden, it's been very interesting. A lot of customers that booked in 2020 have not taken their money back from their tour operators and are ready to travel as and when the situation is good enough to travel, as long as we don't charge them extra, and neither are they demanding a refund. So to answer your question earlier about the pricing issue, price is not the issue. They've paid. They think it's the honorable thing to do to keep the same price and travel, which will happen next year at some stage. And unlike the short domestic business of which is a lot of discussion has been around flights, our business is packaged. It's everything together. Flights is the least of our interest in the entire offering to the customer, and all of this does not happen at short notice. So will this result in short bookings? The answer is, for us, there are no short bookings. Nobody will come on a flight to India and say, okay, I'm coming next week. We've had cases, but that's a very erratic and very, very few from what we normally do. So, like I said, if there is some business, it will only now come after the wave goes down in Europe. Now, our source market is suffering is suffering far more than us. Like UK was suffering last year and we were not. The wave, if it comes here and then continues till March, April, or whatever happens, then we'll go through this whole cycle and then start being ready for September. So I don't think the booking period in our business is going to be nothing is going to change. In fact, I think there's going to be a lot of pent-up demand for destinations that are able to deliver a sense of safety, where they have a highly populated vaccine. Earlier it was deaths, now it's all about vaccinations, and it's all about the number of cases. And then slowly people hopefully will start believing that these cases are a flu. We've been vaccinated, the person servicing us is vaccinated. When we get on a flight, the crew is vaccinated. So it's kind of, the whole world becomes a bubble of vaccinated people. And that's the only way travel will come back in, when the consumer feels, as Vipul said earlier, the consumer feels the confidence of traveling. So we have to just wait for that for another few months. One of the greatest deterrents for travel, I should have mentioned this earlier, one of the greatest deterrents today is quarantine. Either way, if somebody has to quarantine after going home for a week, nobody will travel. So that is going to be one of the big triggers for international travel.